Innsbruck Unscripted. This is part 2 in a series on trends and challenges in the oil and gas and energy industry. I'm Darren Murching, Strategic Client Partner at Innsbruck, focused on helping oil and gas and energy clients digitally enable their integrated enterprises. Our guest today is Mitch Raley. Mitch is the Director of Business Value Services, focused on finance, performance, and supply chain at Oracle. Mitch is a 30-year veteran in this space and focused on helping customers capture value from transformational opportunities. Mitch has worked with many software companies in the oil and gas industry. Welcome, Mitch. We talked in the past, you and I personally, about digital transformations, and it's a great buzzword. But what does it really mean, and how can companies in the oil and gas space get quicker results and then build on them when they talk about digital transformation?
Well, thanks, Darren, and it's good to be here. Digital transformation it means a lot of things for a lot of people. For the oil and gas companies who have predominantly lived in a world of monolithic architectures, they've built a lot of different systems in-house. What they're finding is that they have a lot of tech debt. That tech debt, what it does is it hampers them from actually innovating and moving forward with the changing climate. What digital transformation means for them is not only do they actually transform their systems, but also they have to change their thinking. They actually have to transform the way they do their processes. And, they say in Houston, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what I'm saying is that a lot of their processes are not nimble enough to actually carry them forward into the 21st century. So part of that is actually, yes, adopting newer technologies, right? Emerging technologies like cloud. But there's also other things like IoT and machine learning and artificial intelligence that will actually help automate more of their mundane processes. So part of the digital transformation that I see going forward, it's not just the technology, it's people, process, and technology.
So when you talk about tech debt, I had a recent conversation around that. That's really, you talk about monolithic and using big terms like that. That really is the point of being so rooted and customized that it's very hard to break out of those systems. Is that an accurate description of that tech debt or technical debt?
Yes. So when you said customized, that is exactly what a lot of the oil and gas companies that I see have done. They feel like their business is specific and very unique, right? And a lot of them are. So they've got their unique differences, their unique capabilities to bring to the marketplace. The problem is that what it happens is that because they've customized all of their solutions, it becomes this very large, very difficult to maintain set of systems. It's not one system we're talking about. We're talking about multiple best of breed point solutions that back in the day, that made a lot of sense. You bought one thing for ETRM, right, for trade and risk management. You bought another thing for fuel management. You bought another thing for financials, another thing for procurement. So, and somebody has to put all that together. They have to weave that together and integrate that together, and they have to customize it to fit the business need. And that's what that did is develop that technical debt that I spoke about.
It's really interesting that technical debt is really driven a lot of times by that point around in oil and gas. The perception is we're different, we're unique. Really, the underlying business processes of I'm doing inventory, I'm doing accounting, I'm doing accounts receivables, accounts payables. That's the same in a lot of different areas. And when we talk about that technical debt, now it becomes a point of I have to have that process specialized and that one. And changing out of that, I can see where that technical debt would build up very quickly. But what are your thoughts about how companies can manage that cycle, that up and down, and where can they specifically utilize automation to try to smooth that out?
Well, that's a very good question. What we found was that companies were caught flat-footed, oil and gas being one, but other industries as well. They were caught flat-footed because they did not understand that they need to plan based off of good and bad scenarios. So scenario-based planning is one of those areas in which they really needed to focus on, and they did not have contingency plans for something like barrel prices falling actually below zero. So what we recommend is we recommend that they actually adopt not just a top-down planning model, but a bottom-up planning model as well, and a scenario-based plan. So that's one of the things that I think that they didn't do, and now they're scrambling. Right, what we're seeing is a resurgence or an insurgence of people understanding that tech deck stack that I talked about before was not resilient. It wasn't innovative enough in order for them to actually take on something like the pandemic, things like the oil prices being low and so forth. So that would be one area that I see as being a big change. The other thing is that when when the times are tough, what do? Well, they just have to start cutting costs. And what do to cut costs? They cut people, right? And so now that the barrel price is back up, what do you think they're doing? They're rehiring, right? And the problem is that it's due to the lack of automation that got them in this problem in the first place. So therefore, if they actually were more automated in their systems processing, and what I'm saying about that, auto matching on their invoices, right? Having a procurement system that is global in nature and leverages across all of their different operating companies, so that they're purchasing, the same sprocket. If they have 9,000 of those sprockets across all of those operating companies, they purchase it once and they purchase it at the best price. So when they do these automated tasks, then they can do more with less. So they can have 200 people in accounting manning all of the different operating companies, and that's enough. What we're seeing is that people that lack automation replace automation with people. So all of those manual tasks like spreadsheets and gathering data. I just got off a call with a customer that says that it takes them 12 days just to gather the information from all their disparate ERP systems to get to the point to where they're doing their analysis and getting ready to do the journal entries in order for them to do their close.
So we've spoken a little bit about cycles, about digital transformations and what that means. But when we get down to it, a digital transformation, it won't cover everything. It covers a lot, but there's a significant component in there. One of those things being change management, one of those being automation. But really, how should companies approach? The big bang to digital transformation is scary. It's frightening. And in a lot of cases, the tech debt being so big, it's climbing Mount Everest, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime transaction. How should companies approach that transformation in order to whittle that tech debt down, take that risk away, and really be able to, I guess, gather that value faster and build on that value?
So I like to tell the people that I work with, I like to talk to the customers and say, I like to use a crawl, walk, run type of process. What I mean by that is it doesn't mean that you're not moving quickly to actually take on a digital transformation. It means that you're looking at the highest value, the lowest complexity, process within your business and doing that first. Take the quick wins. So for our oil and gas companies, especially in midstream, what I find is that things like transportation management, global trade management, those are quick wins. And we can immediately shave off 5-10% of their freight budget. Now that's a huge win, right? The other thing that I see is maintenance, right? Spare parts maintenance, MRO, maintenance and repair operations. One of the things that they're carrying too much inventory. They don't have the right inventory. They're also not taking advantage of things like preventative and predictive maintenance. So they're basically seeing that a pump is down. They go and fix the pump, right? They have to go to Bob's parts supply to go pick up the parts necessary to do it. And what do you think is happening? What's happening is they're spending way too much money on that part because it's just in time repair and maintenance,
right,
as opposed to having a supply depot, knowing that they actually have a repair going forward for that particular tractor or pump or whatever the field supply is. And they know that every 3,000 miles or 3,000 hours, they need to go do that maintenance. Better yet, if they actually had IoT, if they actually had something on the the machinery that actually showed that there's an out of variance vibration that they needed to go check that out, then it would be predictive maintenance, and that would save them a ton of money. So part of this is taking those quick wins, and then the walk is now let's leverage that. And Oracle's unique in that the fact that we can actually take a hybrid approach to moving forward in this digital transformation journey. We can take those 6 disparate ERP solutions, and we can connect our accounting hub into those to gather the transactions necessary, and then start building a centralized invoicing process. Let's just start there, right? And so then we're actually informing the billing systems, whatever those billing systems may be, that an invoice has been created, and this is where we are in the process. So we can start there, right? We can start there, and then we can actually migrate them off of each of those ERPs in turn. And then we take on the larger transformation, which is full supply chain, inventory, warehouse management if you have a large enough supply depot, and then getting into other areas within the suite.
It's interesting that crawl, walk, run, it really lends itself as well to being able to absorb the process. And when you're absorbing that, it isn't that catastrophic change that everyone resists. User adoption should be better. It also, when you start picking that apart, you can really isolate what did we really get from this project? How much did working capital improve when we were able to cut the inventory down? And as well, you can also identify, did we add risk by reducing the inventory, or did we increase uptime? So I think it's interesting, your points about reliability-based maintenance, the change, the consumption, the crawl, walk, run, all those things are critical. And I think I like your approach to actually helping these companies gather that value for this. So to recap all this, I mean, we're looking at how digitization should be embraced and how people can escape that tech debt that's out there. Just migrating across into a hosted environment is really not the way to go. The move to cloud would be a better approach.
Well, and one of the things I want to mention is this whole notion of just lifting and shifting your on-premise applications and monolithic archaic processes to a hosted cloud environment. That's not a solution, right? You're basically taking that tech debt and just migrating it to the cloud, a hosted cloud. That's really not what I'm talking about. When I speak with the CFOs and COOs and CIOs of these major oil companies, I'm telling them a lift and shift approach is not what I'm recommending, because what I am recommending is a transformational shift to taking on modern best practices that are embedded in our solution and adopting that change. So if you adopt the change in the process and you use that 80-20 rule, like you said, 80% of the processes should be automatic. It's just everybody does it the same way. It's that unique 20% that's where we don't customize. We configure the solution that matches the business requirement necessary. And what's cool about that is that you get to take advantage of all the innovation that the cloud offers in a true 100% SaaS solution. That innovation curve, think about it. Every quarter, you have access to new and more innovative capability without upgrades, right? Imagine if you will.
Yeah, it's the speed of innovation as opposed to doing it once a year or once every 3 years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Well, Mitch, I want to thank you for your insights and your expertise today, and we look forward to seeing everyone who watched this today on our next installation of Innsbruck Unscripted.